Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. In the heart of a bustling city thrumming with the early morning rush, nestled between towering office buildings and sleepy apartment blocks, stood a little coffee shop called The Perch. Despite its small size, The Perch was a sanctuary for many. A place where the scent of freshly ground coffee beans mingled with the faint hum of jazz, birthing an atmosphere both comforting and invigorating. Ava was the barista behind the counter. She was the soul of The Perch, with her dark curly hair perpetually escaping her messy bun and eyes that sparkled with quiet warmth. Ava had always loved her job, not just because she adored coffee, but because she found an unspoken connection with the people who entered through the shop's worn wooden doors. She felt like a silent observer of stories in the making, and some days, just by reading the subtle clues in a person's expression or demeanor, she made their morning better. One particular spring morning, the daylight was soft and golden as it filtered through the shop's large windows, casting a warm embrace over the espresso machine. Ava was manning the counter as usual, her hands moving rhythmically, preparing drinks with practiced ease. The shop was quiet. Only a few regulars scattered at tables tapping on their laptops or quietly chatting. Then, the door chimed, and in walked someone new. A man, tall with a tousled mop of dark brown hair and hazel eyes that immediately caught Ava's attention. He seemed almost tentative, scanning the menu board above the counter as if overwhelmed by the choices. His shoulders bore the weight of some invisible burden, and yet there was a softness in his demeanor that made him approachable. Ava noticed him slipping a hand into his battered leather backpack, his fingers fumbling nervously. Without thinking, she began preparing a drink she had never made for anyone before, but instinctively knew would suit him perfectly. She took a deep breath, selected the espresso beans she thought he'd like, grinding them freshly to drip into a cup. A dash of steamed oat milk, just creamy enough to balance the bitterness without overwhelming, and a subtle hint of cinnamon. A spice that paired with the subtle earthiness she imagined in his character. She placed the drink on the counter just as the man, clearly surprised, stepped up to order. Just a latte, please," he said hesitantly. Ava smiled, handing him the cup that was already waiting. "Try this," she said softly. He looked down at the cup, eyebrows raised, then took a careful sip. A warmth spread over his face as his eyes lit up in recognition. "This is incredible," he said, his voice a little odd. "Have you done this before I ordered?" She nodded, cheeks coloring slightly. "I get a feeling sometimes from the way people look or carry themselves. It's a bit like reading an unwritten story." The man smiled, the corner of his lips twitching upward. "I'm Ethan," he introduced himself, holding out a hand. "Ava," she replied, taking his hand gently in hers. For several mornings after, Ethan returned to The Perch, and each time Ava prepared the same latte before he even opened his mouth. They started exchanging small bits of conversation, about the weather, the city's hidden gems, their mutual love for a certain author. Slowly, the coffee shop transformed from a routine stop into a place suffused with the growing warmth between them. One drizzly Tuesday afternoon, Ethan confided that he had recently moved to the city for a demanding job in publishing, and that the loneliness often crept in during the early hours. Ava listened, her heart tugging in sympathy and understanding. She revealed her own quiet dreams of writing poetry, and the way the rhythms of making coffee lingered like verses in her mind. Days rolled into weeks, and with each shared story and laughter, the nebulous bond crystallized into something undeniable. Ava began to recognize the subtle shifts in Ethan's mood, and just like before, tailored each cup of coffee to suit not only his tastes but how he was feeling that day. Sometimes it was a strong double shot to match his bursts of energy, other times, a mellow herbal infusion when his eyes were sunken with fatigue. One Friday evening, after closing time, the shop had emptied out except for them. Ethan stayed under the warm glow of the amber lights, his fingers wrapped around a steaming cup, while Ava perched on the stool beside him. There was an unspoken electricity dancing between them, a delicious tension unbroken by words. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. "I still can't believe you make this drink before I say a word." Ava chuckled softly. "It's just a little magic I practice." He looked at her then, eyes deep pools of admiration and something more tender. "I think that magic is you. You see me in ways I don't always see myself." Her heart fluttered, and the room seemed to shrink to just the two of them, wrapped in the aroma of coffee and the promise of something new. Without warning, Ethan leaned in, closing the distance between them, his lips brushing hers lightly, a gentle, questioning kiss. Ava responded with all the warmth she had reserved for quiet mornings at the perch, a soft surrender to the moment. From that night onward, their relationship blossomed like a carefully tended flower. The coffee shop bore witness to their burgeoning love, witnessed in shared smiles behind the counter, stolen touches beneath the cafe's marquee, and the way their hands intertwined as effortlessly as the cream swirling into the perfect latte. Ava found in Ethan not just a mystery customer, but a partner who cherished the way she could see the hidden depths in people. And Ethan discovered that she was the warmth he could come home to, a steady presence in the unpredictable hustle of his new city life. In time, the perch became more than just a coffee stop, it was a backdrop to their story. The place where two lives brewed into one, where a simple cup of coffee became an emblem of connection, understanding, and love. And every morning, as Ava prepared the latte just the way Ethan liked, she saw in his eyes the same sparks that had ignited the day they first met, smiling with the knowledge that some mysteries were meant to be unraveled together. For more stories, like and subscribe.